All right. So we got, wow, I don't even know what episode we're on now. Is this 27, 28? Starting off good.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
All right. Well, we'll figure it out. I'm sure our viewers know. But yeah, anyways, get into week 11 review. Obviously, we start with our birds, of course. They are interesting every week.
Yeah.
You always interrupt me, so I'll let you get into it first. What were your thoughts on the game?
This team, I'm at the point where I'm not even mad anymore. I just know they're a terrible team, and I've just accepted it. I have been firmly on the I'd rather win the division than have a top 10 pick. This game has changed my mind. They're so bad. Like, don't even get me on the fact that our quarterback doesn't know the rules of football or just doesn't understand the game.
I'm like a parent. I'm not mad at them anymore. I'm just disappointed.
They're just so bad. And like all this week, Carson's been getting ripped. And don't get me wrong, he absolutely deserves it. That safety was unexcusable. Like everyone in their goddamn mind knew you cannot take a safety now except Carson Wentz.
Yep.
Like I don't understand what we were thinking there. Both interceptions were brutal. The one to the flat, I know he got hit, but you know what? If you look at his arm motion, that didn't look like he was going to rocket that out of there. That looked like he was trying to float that to the running back, and that guy was all over him. I don't know where you're putting this ball for the running back in the flat.
I think that was the play where Rager was literally wide open down the field, and I guess he misread it, did his check down, and then yeah, like you said, I think it would have been incomplete anyways, but he got hit, and so the ball just came out, and
my biggest, obviously,
brutal pick six.
A lot of issues with Carson. My biggest issue, I think, from that entire game, and I want to look something up just to check myself, was, let's see, Miles Sanders had 16 carries.
Okay.
I think they had 6 carries in the second half. I think I remember looking at.
Sounds about right.
Boston Scott had 5.
Oh.
So what I was watching the game is like your offensive line actually can run block pretty decently. Like they were running the ball pretty successfully. It's downpouring all day, so I don't know why you don't run the ball more. But your offensive line then when they try to pass is awful, like terrible. Why don't you play to the strengths of your team? Like look at the Browns. We talked about this before. They know what their issue is. Baker, I'll tell you, Baker looks horrible. Baker's terrible quarterback.
He missed like 2 or 3 touchdown passes. So
he is a terrible quarterback. Watching that game, he's brutal. That game should have been a lot worse than it was, but he's just so bad. But the thing with Stefanski is he just runs the ball with Chubb and runs the ball with Hunt and understands Baker sucks. He understands my offensive line's dominant and my quarterback sucks. We're going to run the ball.
But did you notice what happened? They were not running well in the first half. So what did they do in the second half? They kept trying to run the ball. What would Doug Peterson and the Eagles do? Oh, they would have abandoned it. And they did abandon it. And we were running well. Like, I just don't understand the thought process behind, we're down like a score or 2. We got to immediately pass. Like, Miles Sanders was killing that defense. And he's been doing it every game, and yet they get away from him every time.
Especially you're watching the Browns. Like, Baker just cannot move the ball. They can run the ball, and our defense was actually playing pretty solid, I thought, in the beginning.
Yeah.
You knew it was a matter of time. Every team that runs the ball heavy, eventually your defense is going to get tired, especially when your quarterback is just turning the ball over whenever he feels like. When on the Nick Chubb run, that series where he had the long run and put Osman into, daycare with that get off the stick arm.
Osman into daycare.
You could see, I looked at the defense coming out. I was like, oh, they look tired. This looks like the drive that the bend break mentality might get broken.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? That's what happened. But the thing with Eagles, I don't understand why you don't play your strengths. Your team has very little strengths. They suck. But the offensive line was run blocking pretty well. You were running the ball pretty well. Miles Sanders had an unexcusable fumble, which this is not the first time. And now I'm starting to get really worried about this. Because I said I was worried about it when he did last time. And he did it again. And he keeps doing it in the worst possible moments.
Yeah, he's got 3 in 7 games.
That's terrible. And I don't know if that's why Doug was more eager to get away from the run, but Doug gets away from the run every game. But just seeing the offensive line alone, how dominant they were run blocking as opposed to the pass blocking, they couldn't block anyone in pass blocking. Yeah. So why would you keep throwing the ball?
I don't know. I think the story of the season for them, beyond like bad coaching and Carson just dropping off like a I don't even know have words for how bad he is. But they beat themselves. Like I was talking to Nick earlier today, and we were saying how like it's sad, but they're like in every game somehow. Like even in the fourth
Yeah.
quarter, there's still a chance that they could pull it out. And for as poorly as they play, for as terrible as they like kick themselves in, these dumb interceptions, dumb turnovers, lack of turnovers on defense. And, at the end of the day, these are fixable mistakes, but we're on to week 12 now, and these mistakes have been fixed.
Yeah, it's
So,
all the same things. Carson is still turning the ball over
yeah.
ridiculously. He's still not feeling any pressure. He's still making horrible decisions. He's still missing wide open guys. All the issues that we normally have, Doug is still not running the ball. Like,
Yeah.
it's just the same thing over and over and over again. That's why this week, I honestly was just, I don't even know if I can get mad. Like, it's the same thing over and over again. And you know what sucks is now I'm going to watch him lose 5 games in a row.
Yeah.
Like, this was it. If you wanted to win a game in this tough stretch, it was the Cleveland game, and you were in it. You had your chances, and now I'm not going to see a win for 5 weeks.
I think my biggest so I saw right before we got on, I was looking up some things, and then I came across Adam Kaplan. He's like an NFL reporter. I've heard him for years now. So he's pretty credible, but he was saying stuff about how there was rumors about after the Dallas win, Jeff Lurie was like really upset with the offense, like wanted changes, wanted them to start playing a lot better. That was 3 weeks ago in a win. And apparently, the theory is that if Doug continues to play like this and continues to refuse to let other people help, other people pick plays and, help him essentially, that there
Yeah.
could be a coaching change as soon as this offseason. So, I mean,
See,
when the owner has to step in, that's not good. I still don't think Doug gets fired this year. Like I said, like we agreed last week, I think next year is his make or break year. But
yeah.
I mean, apparently they could have brought in that USC coach to be an offensive coordinator, and he wasn't interested because Doug wasn't going to give him the chance to call plays. So it's like,
Oh yeah. See, now the whole offense coordinator thing, we've touched on this, was weird because
it's ridiculous at this point.
Doug Peterson said they were going to keep him. He wasn't leaving. Then I think Lurie came in and be like, no, that's definitely not happening. We're getting rid of him. And then I don't know what happened after that. Maybe Lurie said, you know what, you can pick your own guy because I fired your guy. And then Doug's like, you know what, I don't want to give up any power, so I'm going to call the plays, bring in 4 stooges to be passing in coordinators or assistant offensive nonsense, whatever the hell they want to call them. And they're going to do absolutely nothing, and I'm going to run the offense, and I'm going to do exactly what I want. And it's just been a complete disaster. I'm looking at Frank Reich, I won't say resurrect, but winning games with a crepid, beat-down Philip Rivers who can only throw ducks, and his best running back, is out for the season. And they're winning games, and their offense is scoring points.
Yeah.
Makes me want to think back to 2017, how important Frank Reich was to this coaching staff. And if Doug is actually this offensive genius that can just get away with not having other coaches around him to give input.
Yeah, I guess not so much anymore. I mean, and it annoys me too when we talk about the run game because, I understand the West Coast offense is more predicated on the passing, especially in an Andy Reid West Coast offense. But like, look what he's doing in KC right now. Like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think has like 800 rushing yards, and they're pounding the rock pretty well. It's like you got to adapt, and like every week we see the same offense, the same boring offense, the same 3 plays of Jalen Hurts with a option where he's gonna keep it most of the time and then get 2 yards. It's like I'm tired of seeing this. And to make matters worse, the Dolphins were they were losing by 10 points, and they benched Tua, who had gone 3-0 in 3 straight games, and they benched him because he wasn't playing great. It's taken 11 games now, and Carson's still starting. Not even like Nick and I were saying earlier, at least bench Carson for the start of the game. Like let him sit a quarter, let Hurts do something. If if Hurts lights it up, then you keep him in. If he's average, then you say, Carson, look, now it's your time. Go in there and do something. And if he doesn't do anything, it's like the same story again.
I'm the opposite, and I actually would have been perfectly fine pulling him in the Cleveland game. I think you let him start because if you pull Wentz, then you're opening up a whole chest of other issues.
Yeah, but
you let him start. If he keeps playing this nonsensical football that he keeps doing, then you pull him. The thing is, though, I have zero faith in Jalen Hurts. I have absolutely no faith in Jalen Hurts.
I think the thought of him playing is kind of exciting. I mean, I'd like to see what he can do because,
It's
like, at this
exciting because
point,
you don't know what you can do. That's why it's exciting. What drives me nuts is, and I said this when we took him, Jalen Hurts is the backup quarterback. If Wentz got hurt, our season is screwed because Jalen Hurts is not a very good passer. He has done absolutely nothing in the NFL. He doesn't practice with the first team, and he doesn't look comfortable out there. He just runs RPO when he goes out there. You
I
would have
wouldn't
been
be
better off.
comfortable if they threw me out there for one play and it was the
Yeah,
same play every time and every defense knew what you were doing.
trust me, it's idiotic. But what they should have done, and this would have made more sense, is if you wanted to put the pressure on Wentz, is you bring in a veteran that could actually succeed if he starts sucking. Because what's going to happen? Wentz is going to suck. You're going to take him out, put Hurts in, and Hurts is going to be just as brutal. And then you're just going to go back to Wentz the next game. You've given Jalen Hurts no opportunity to practice with the first team or even throw the ball. Everything he does is just RPO. It makes no sense. That you wasted a second-round pick on nothing that helps you.
Maybe the Hurts pick was Lurie's idea then at this point. Who knows anymore? But I don't know. My last thoughts on the Eagles. I mean, I don't know how much it matters at this point because, we're still losing games, but I think their defense has been fine for the most part. Like our pass defense is number 6 in the league, and we're still number 1 in sacks with 40. It's just like it's a matter of lack of turnovers. I think if this team was getting more interceptions and fumbles, like they would be a good defense. It's just they do enough, and
it's hard to really kill the defense. I mean, I'd like to see the defense in a game where the offense isn't just crippling them constantly.
Or in a game when,
I think Carson Wentz gave up more points than the defense did.
How many times does the other team have a great starting field position? That's probably why our numbers are so low for passing because teams only have to go that far.
I mean, what are you supposed to do when your quarterback gives the other team 9 points himself?
Yeah. Well, any last thoughts on the Birds before we move along?
Honestly, my last thoughts are, you know what? We won't be in the first place after Thursday, and I don't think we're ever going to come back to first place. I don't want to win the division anymore. I really was set on it, and I was like, you know what? I had more faith in making a run than I did hitting the draft pick. But at this point, I'm just so disgusted by what I see. This whole team is bad. It is not just Wentz, and it is not just coaching. I know Doug and Howie and Wentz will get the most pressure, but this whole team sucks.
You know how sad it is that we are like one game can decide whether we win a division or we have a top 5 draft pick. Like that's insane.
Yeah.
And I'd rather have that top 5 draft pick because there's 32 teams in the NFL. One of them wins the Super Bowl. 31 other teams lose. And you're going to tell me out of the, 16 teams? Or not, it's 14 teams, I think, that make the playoffs this year. 14 teams. There's 13 teams that are better than the Eagles that will beat the Eagles if the Eagles are that last team to make it in. So I'd rather them just miss the playoffs, save me the agony, get a better draft pick, actually hit on the draft pick, and hope for a rebound from Wentz next year.
See, my last thought on this, and this is something I asked you last week, was if the division hasn't been so god-awful the last 2 years, would Doug be really feeling the pressure? If he finds a way to win this division with like 6 or 7 wins, then you know what? The end of the season, the pressure probably comes off him again. You're going to have to be terrible. You're going to have to miss the playoffs because if you win the division and go to the playoffs, it's hard to get on the guy when he won back-to-back divisions, even though his teams have not been very good. He's just lucky that he plays for a garbage can of a division.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The thing with that is like, yes, things aren't really working, but if you fire Doug, like, who do you really have? Like, unless like Bieniemy, the KC coordinator, he's going to get a job this year. So unless you fire him now and then move on, but
I'm not like, and that's how I feel about Howie and Doug. I'm not there yet to fire them. Have they made some bad decisions?
The pool
Absolutely.
is not great out there. Like the replacement isn't really there.
What I'm more of my issue is that since 2017, Doug and Howie have both gotten more responsibility. That was out of different things like Reich, DiFilippo, and Douglas all left for new pastors, but you never replaced them. You never brought in a football guy to tell Howie who to sign. You never brought in an offensive coordinator to get into Wentz's head and teach him how not to turn the ball over, and to game plan with Doug. And you know what? They lost it. Like, you know what? They earned the right to have their chance to go solo and make their own calls and call their own shots, but their shots have all been wrong. Everything's terrible. We're on a decline. What sucks is we had 3 jokes in the division, and now I think all 3 of them are on the rise when we are falling back.
Yeah, I
You
agree.
you can make an argument that all three of the teams in our division have a brighter future than we do. And going into the season, everyone couldn't stop laughing at those three.
I mean, I think the Redskins are just a quarterback and a couple of pieces away from being,
Yeah.
pretty
I think
good.
I think Joe Judge is a great coach. I think he's got a good culture building in the
I'm not too
Giants.
I'm not too high on Judge, but
I think if you look at that Giants roster, their team is god awful. So the fact that they're fighting in games and they're actually
yeah,
competing, I think is a huge win for them.
no, I agree. I wouldn't be they would be my pick to win the division. Like I mean the Cowboys still have firepower, and it's really going to come down to Dalton playing well. But
I think Dalton can get in the playoffs. I'd say the Cowboys. I think Dalton gets in the playoffs. The offense is too good.
yeah, we'll see. All right, so we're gonna mix it up a bit, and we're gonna jump into our power rankings, mostly because we just have some thoughts on these teams. So we're gonna start off with start from the top. So number one, we're gonna roll with the Chiefs again. We still think they're the best team. Still think they're Super Bowl favorites. Number two, the 10-0 Steelers. Honestly, they have a pretty good shot of going 16-0. Their schedule's not too rough.
I mean, I think the toughest game is going to be this Thursday, and it looks like all of COVID is going to be taking out the Ravens.
So it'll be the weirdest. Like they're not a. It's probably the weakest undefeated team I've ever seen at 10-0, but that's not saying they're not good because they're definitely
they're definitely very good, but there's a reason they haven't been number one in our power rankings for most of the season.
And then number three, the Saints. Even with no Breeze, they had a pretty. I mean, I think they dominated the Falcons pretty well. So
yeah, it wasn't even close.
Number four, we got the Bills, who are on a bye, but like we said, they can be a sneaky team if their defense stays consistent and Josh Allen makes good decisions. Number five, we have the Rams off a big win over Tampa. Yeah, I mean, we've kind of said it all year that they are surprisingly a well-rounded team at every phase of the game. Like offensive defenses are both solid. Like their defense is probably beyond Pittsburgh is one of the tops in the league right now. Then number six, we had the Packers drop a couple spots just because of that loss to the Colts. Then number seven, we have the Titans beat the Baltimore in a big overtime game. And we'll get into that a bit, but Baltimore has dropped. They have had quite the descend from our top 10 rankings.
They're struggling.
They were 3 at one point, and then they were still top 5, and now they're not even in it.
See, the problem with the Ravens is their biggest problem is the same problem they had last year, but they haven't corrected it, and just more teams have caught on.
Yeah. Number 8, Seattle. Still a strong team. I could still see them between them, the Saints and the Packers fighting for the NFC Championship. And then number 9, we have the Colts. The Indianapolis Colts finally making their top 10 appearance. Yeah. Well deserved. They are 7-3, beating some good teams.
Frank Reich looks great. Just coaching. You know what? That's a coach of the year candidate right there.
Yeah.
He might.
He should have won that one year. His first year in Indy, he should have won it.
I think this year is more impressive.
And then at number 10, the Arizona Cardinals lost a good game against Seattle, but they have some defensive issues, and Kyler's not gonna be able to do everything every game. So
they're I mean, listen, they're not a very good team. They were the first overall pick 2 years ago. They're still building. They're on the rise. I like what they're doing, but they still have some holes that need to be addressed.
So you wanted to touch on the Buccaneers not making our top 10 after being number 7 last week?
I mean, listen. So let me start this by going over my fantasy pain that I usually suffer every week.
I lost 2. Don't worry. In both leagues, I lost, so I was very
upset. But this one was really painful. So okay. I did lose in both weeks. Great. So I was down by, I want to say 16 points, 18 points going into it. I had Chris Godwin going, and he had no one.
Okay.
So Chris Godwin did pretty much absolutely nothing for the entire game. He scores that touchdown right near the end of the game.
Yeah, thank you, Ronald Jones. 2.4 fantasy points, you bastard.
Listen, let me go through my fantasy pain, then we can get to yours. So yeah, Godwin scores that touchdown. Amazing play. That was all Godwin. Very impressive. I was a huge fan.
Great play.
I was a huge fan of that, and I was like, oh my God, I'm only down by 3 points. I think I can do this. The Rams got the ball. They did exactly what I needed them. All I needed them to do was score. That's all I needed because they were tied. That Godwin touchdown, I believe, tied them. And I just need the Rams to score so Tom Brady would just pass the ball and drive the field and all would be well. Tom Brady goes. The Rams got the field goal. Tom Brady gets his last drive. It's Tom Brady, fourth quarter, a minute and a half left. This is money. He's going to win easily. Goes, hits Godwin, gets him in that pass on that final drive. Very nice. Now I really just need Godwin to catch one more ball. Doesn't really matter how many yards it is. He just needs to catch the ball. Mm-hmm. And then immediately right after that, Tom Brady throws the ball 5 yards past his wide receiver and right into the hands of a Rams player, which is just absolutely brutal, which Tom Brady doesn't do. And you know what? I'm seeing a lot of things that Tom Brady doesn't do a lot more this year than last year. He has already thrown more interceptions this year than he did last year. My main thing with this, and we talked about this in the preseason, I don't think this Arians and Brady marriage is going to work. I said one of them had to adjust for it to work, and I have not seen enough of adjustment to get by. I think they just keep throwing Band-Aids on it. They're like, oh, Tom Brady and Arians won't mix. Leonard Fournette. Oh, they're still struggling. Tom Brady doesn't look comfortable. Antonio Brown. They just keep throwing superstar skill players thinking that's going to help. But the fact is, this offense is not meant for Tom Brady. Tom Brady does not want to take a 7-top drop, doesn't want to get anywhere near getting hit, and he doesn't want to throw the ball downfield all day. This is not an offense a 43-year-old quarterback wants to keep doing. It's just something's got to change, and I think teams are starting to catch on to it more, especially teams that can rush the passer. Because teams that can get pressure like the Rams can, that's going to be Brady's nightmare because he doesn't want to hold that ball very long for all these plays downfield that Arians is calling to develop and get hit. Before we get into, but before I finish on that, I did want to slide right into the duds because this transitions beautifully because, I got him last week. And if I can put the GOAT in the duds, I will do it every single week. If he gives me a reason to, I promise I will. And this third dud of this week, we'll get right to the dud list, is going to be your boy, Thomas Brady. And it makes me so happy to put him on the dud list each week. I'm so glad I could do it back to back. But you know what? He's making it easy, really. Besides the game-ending interception that he threw in the final drive that he's done 1,000 times in the fourth quarter. He went 26-48, 216, not impressive yardage, 2 touchdowns to go along with 2 interceptions. The 2 interceptions were pretty brutal. The one obviously lost in the game. Very rough showing for Tom. He did not look comfortable at all. And then he did his patented, I threw a temper tantrum. I'm not going to shake the hands of the other quarterback because they beat me.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's just comical how many times he does it. He did it to Foles in the Bears game too.
Yep.
But you know what? Listen, if he continues to suck and he wants to do his thing, I promise I'll put him on the dud list every week. It makes me happy. Puts a smile on my face. I love this whole Brady and Belichick split. The Patriots suck. Tom Brady is throwing interceptions to lose games on the final drive. It's beautiful. I love this. This is a whole new world. It's wonderful.
Whole new world.
But yeah, that was my third dud. So, before I get into the rest of the duds, I didn't know if you had any comments about the Monday Night Football game because I honestly think it was arguably the best game of the week.
Yeah, it was a good game. It was funny. I was watching on my laptop because I was doing something else, and I think it was like the third quarter was pretty close to the end of the third quarter, and I kept looking at it like every other minute, and I was like, okay, the Rams have the ball, and then like Patriots have the ball, and then the Rams had the ball, and I was like, wait a minute, what's going on? It's like they had like a back and forth of turnovers,
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, Goff had 2 interceptions himself too.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a competitive game. It was good, throughout the end, and then the Rams really came up big in the fourth quarter, especially on defense, to kind of shut Brady down and hold on to their game. So yeah, I thought it was a good game. Like we said earlier, Rams are sneaky good.
I don't think it's sneaky anymore. I don't think
Goff is.
I think they're very good.
I don't think Goff is, great by any means, but he's a very effective game manager. Like I would never want him to like be in a win me the game scenario, but he does enough things right to help them, get the dub. So
I equate Goff to almost Tannehill, where he's the system quarterback. Like I think McVay sets up Goff perfectly. Would Goff struggle in a different system? Yeah, probably. Would a different quarterback come in and succeed in McVay's system? Probably. I think McVay's a pretty smart offensive mind. I think he puts his quarterback in smart positions. Mm-hmm. But I think Goff is perfectly capable of winning games, of scoring points. What I think really is special about the Rams is that defense is pretty good. That defense is good. The Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey combo is deadly.
Mm-hmm.
As Jalen
Two of the
Ramsey
best.
yeah, and they play off each other so well.
Yeah.
It's you can't throw the ball because Jalen Ramsey's all over your star wide receiver. You're about to get your head taken off because Donald just steamrolled your center. Like the options aren't there. I know it was Darius Williams, I believe, the other corner on the Rams, had 2 interceptions last week. Like that's just the benefit of playing with Jalen Ramsey. No one's going to try him. They're just going to sacrifice their best wide receiver and let him go and try someone else. And they're going to eat. They're going to get their opportunities. And if they can eat, they can eat. And having a bull rusher like Aaron Donald in the middle to rush every pass is always going to make everything better.
Yeah. I'm surprised by the Rams, but I think our biggest concern was that like they only had Ramsey and Donald because they let so many other pieces go in order to sign, some of their most important players. But they formed a good defense, and those like Ramsey is playing like the best corner in the league so far this year.
Yes, he's having a very good year. I think Mike Evans had a touchdown, but only had like 5 receptions, like 50 yards. Not amazing, but Jalen Ramsey was all over him. I'll take that any day of the week. Give me 5 receptions, 50 yards for Mike Evans. Fine with that.
Yeah. Who is the that was only the first dud of the week.
Oh, don't worry. You're not gonna. Well,
who's number 2?
This one I actually debated pretty heavily because they both made me sick watching the game. I feel like I've been pretty rough on him, and we've all been pretty rough on him, and he deserves it. Don't get me wrong, but I feel just like I'm just repeating myself because he keeps doing the same damn thing over again. So I'm going to put him at the second dud because I really want to get in on the next guy. So the second dud, no surprise. I couldn't honestly make this list without putting him on it, is Carson Wentz. Just take your pick. The pick 6, that was an awful, regardless if he got hit, that was an awful decision. Their linebacker was right on the running back. The safety I was ready to punch my TV. The interception of Jeffrey, I don't know who I hate more, Jeffrey for not knowing how to jump correctly or Wentz for just airmailing. He's throwing ducks out there.
Well, if that was Foles throwing the ball, Jeffrey would have jumped and tried to catch it. But
probably, yeah. I'm
up.
sure. Yeah, you know what? I'd just get him off the team. You just make him a healthy scratch every week. There's no reason to put him out there. There is absolutely no reason. You know what? At this point,
it's killing Fulgham's production too.
Yeah, there's just no reason. He's done nothing. I think did he even catch a ball this week? I don't know.
He hasn't caught a ball all season.
Yeah, it's just go back to just put him back on the injury reserve. Say it's COVID. I don't know. Make something up. Just tell him, listen, we'll pay you the rest of your contract. You're done after this year. Just stay on the sideline. Yeah. There's just no reason to put him out there. He just brings nothing to the offense. I have no reason to, but we touched on Wentz a lot, so I won't really get too much into it. He's just making the same mistakes he does every week. It is what it is. At this point, I'm just accepting it. I'm just coming to accept that Wentz will throw 2 interceptions, or he'll turn the ball over twice every game, make at least 2 brutal decisions, whether it be intentional grounding, holding on the ball too long, safety, whatever it is, and we'll miss about 4 wide open receivers. Just won't even throw it away. Just will completely not even see them. So that's what I expect every week from him. But that's my second dud. The first dud is one that was just nauseating to watch him play. It pained me. It pained me. And you know what? If Myles Garrett didn't have corona, Myles Garrett would be the defensive player of the year after this game. If Olivier Vernon could put up 3 sacks and a safety and just completely embarrass Jason Peters all day long, Myles Garrett would have had like 6 sacks and we would have just gave him defensive player of the year after that game. He's got absolutely nothing left. If Doug dares try to put him out there again instead of Mailata, you should burn down the city.
Oh, he is. He said this week that he's starting.
I don't understand.
No, I don't.
I've been thinking about this because the other thing that I noticed, because they couldn't stop talking about Jason Peters because he just got beat every time, and Olivier Vernon was having a field day. The amount of times they mention Jason Peters as a future Hall of Famer, like it's like, oh, the future Hall of Famer just got completely embarrassed. Oh, the future Hall of Famer gave up another sack. Oh, the future Hall of Famer just got undressed and he gave up that safety. Like, why do you have to keep on saying future Hall of Famer? That's just starting to take away it kind of hurts the distinguished Hall of Famer title. Like if this clown can get in the Hall of Fame, like I know he's amazing, and I know I'm just I'm more being humorous, but I don't want to hear he's a future Hall of Famer when he gets his ass handed to him every play of the game by Olivier Vernon, who's really not – he's an okay player, but he's not Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett would have destroyed the entire Eagles team.
Oh, Carson would have been dead.
Carson would have been in the hospital, and Myles Garrett would have been awarded the Defensive Player of the Year by halftime. That's what would have happened. After what I saw, it was so bad. And that's why and I'm watching that game, and this is what we were talking about the Eagles. I couldn't believe that Doug wouldn't run the ball. You could just see Jason Peters as a turnstile. People are just running past him. Like, you can't block the blind side. Why do you insist on throwing the ball? I don't think they run block very bad. Like, they run block pretty well. They do it a hell of a lot better than pass blocking. Why do you continue to just – it's like he keeps doing the same thing and thinks something's different is going to happen.
I think what is it? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the same results.
Yeah.
And that's what I think they're doing. Like, they look at it, they're like, oh, this worked in the past. We're just going to keep doing it. And, like, no, but it's not working. Like, run the ball. Like, if Peters isn't – he's not as agile to get back and pass block. And so run the ball, make him just use his body as a shield. And, you know, he's infinitely better than a run blocker as a pass blocker. So it's like
so bad. It was. And
I don't have words anymore.
We like, and don't get me wrong, like, I'm not, trying to be an offensive line hardo now, but this is the second offensive lineman I put on the duds list this season, with Matt Paradise and the Panthers being the other one. And I only do it because, like, just watching casually, like, just focusing on, like, the offense, the quarterback, all this other stuff. Offensive line play, like, if you're really bad, you can't help but notice how bad they are.
Yeah.
Because the plays just can't work. Like, you're just like, oh, that maybe Carson could have hit the guy downfield if Jason Peters didn't get blown over so quickly.
I don't know anymore, but
yeah, it's
enough on that. Let's get into the studs of the week.
Oh, this is a list that no Eagle will be touching this season. So
I don't think we'll ever see another Eagle on this. Did we ever even have an Eagle on the stud list?
I doubt it. They pissed me off from week 1, so I don't think so. We've had a lot of Eagles opponents on the stud list.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Probably you'll have more on this week coming up. So
yeah, you're not wrong. So. All right, so to the good stuff. Studs of the week.
Biscuits.
Yeah, studs of the week. All right, so this third stud of the week, absolute superstar. I think we all agree on that. He is a very important key to a dynamic offense, something I can't say about the Eagles players. He caught the game-winning touchdown, one that he was left completely wide open because, man, if you watch how good – and he deserves the stud, but – that play in particular, Mahomes just scrambled out of the pocket to bring the safety up to make a move on him, thinking Mahomes is going to scramble and just leave Kelsey wide open in the end zone to just throw it and strike it and win the game. That was impressive. But
I mean, game on the line, and their defense was really nowhere to be found around Kelsey.
Yeah, well, you see if you watch the play, Mahomes
they were keeping their 6 feet quarantine. Yeah.
But, 8 receptions, 127 yards, the touchdown that we're talking about, the game winner. One of my personal favorites. I put him in the studs list because I thought it was a big win. It was very you know what? The Raiders –
he's killing it this year. He's top 5 in receiving yards, and he's a tight end. So
he's doing well. That was a really good game too, actually. There was a couple good games this week. And,
that was a really fun watch.
The Raiders can play with the Chiefs. I really thought they were going to win that game.
I said that in the beginning of the year. I said the Raiders are a sleeper. They're a sneaky. Like they're a young team who's getting better, and they played. Carr's played pretty well too. And you're pretty big Carr.
You know I'll since you mentioned it, you're right. I will eat my words on that. Carr looks amazing. I was completely wrong because
I wouldn't say amazing, but he's played much better than people would have thought.
Okay, from what I've seen before, he looks a lot better. And I thought Gruden made a mistake by not trading some of those picks away to draft a quarterback. And you know what? Maybe he knew. Gruden's bringing out the best in Carr, and Carr looks very good. This is the best I've seen from him. And I'll give it to the Gruden. I'll give it to the Raiders. I'll give it to Derek Carr. I was wrong. They made the wise move of sticking with them so far. And what drives me nuts is seeing Nelson Aguilar dominate, which is just painful to watch. He had a great game again this week.
It's just the Eagles. We have good players. They don't play well on the team.
Like that stuff makes you like wonder what are we doing as coaches?
Isn't Russell Douglas starting for the Panthers at cornerback? Like,
no. I'm seeing Aguilar fall down to a punchline in Philadelphia, then goes and becomes the number one wide receiver in Oakland. Rasul Douglas is out there starting for the Panthers when he looked god awful with us. Carson Wentz went from MVP form to now a third string rookie quarterback. It looks like the decision. Like everyone's just going backwards. It's just
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. Like
Maybe
why
they're tanking.
Maybe, but you know
Who
what?
knows?
They'll probably beat the football team and the Cowboys at the end of the season, somehow squeak in with the division.
Oh, I hope not. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Travis Kelce at 3. Who we got at 2?
All right, second stud. This was a guy. You know what? I put him on the stud list because he was close in the first one. He came out in a tough situation. I mean, he wasn't playing a great team, so I'm not going to act like he beat the world. But there was a lot of pressure on him from expectation wise. No one really expected him to succeed. Everyone was shocked that he got the call to start. I think everyone was a little hesitant on if this guy can actually be a quarterback since he does so many other things on the field consistently. But 18 to 23, very accurate, 233. He put 2 touchdowns on the ground, 51 yards rushing, 10 carries. Actually led his team in rushing, which is very shocking. He had less carries than Latavius Murray and Kamara and somehow outrushed both of them. So second stud, we're going with Taysom Hill, winning his first start ever.
Yeah,
And
I was surprised. I didn't know what to expect of the 30-year-old. But
see, you know what? Watching that made me think, all right, if you wanted to draft Jalen Hurts, then you need to keep him as involved in the offense as the Saints do with Taysom Hill because say Breeze goes down, Taysom Hill's been playing a lot. He's used to the spotlight. He's used to having the ball in his hands. He's just doing it now as a starting quarterback. If Wentz went down, Hurts would be screwed. He's barely even thrown a pass in the NFL. We don't activate him. We just do RPO and let him look like a fool every time. But you know what? There was a lot of pressure on him, and I still kind of thought going into the game that Sean Payton was just messing with everyone and was going to have Jameis Winston out there by the second snap.
yeah.
But you know what? He made Peyton look smart. He went out there, looked efficient, played his game because, like I said, he still ran the ball. He was very successful on the ground. He didn't have to throw a lot. He only had 23 attempts, but he played his game and he played it well. And I was impressed with his performance. And they just shellacked the Falcons, who suck. But it's a big win.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure on the guy, so I gave it to him.
Fair enough. I agree. It was a good showing.
Yeah. First stud. And I guarantee this one's going to be a surprise. I think you'll be surprised by this one.
I enjoyed the build up because when you start describing what they did, I like try to think like I got Kelsey and Hill right so far before you said their name. So we'll see how.
I'll be surprised if you get this one. But all right, so this one's a surprise because I rarely put defensive players in the studs. It's just harder to make a case for them.
Okay.
Defensive guy, huge game he played in, beat a very strong division rival.
Okay.
Now this he had a good game. Don't get me wrong, but you got to understand the situation because this is why he's the number one stud. He came to a team with a glaring issue that he can fix.
Carlos Dunlap.
Wow. Good.
Sorry to steal your thunder, but
No, fair enough. You did steal the
before
thunder.
you gave away any more hints, I wanted to.
Fair enough. That was good. I'm actually impressed. So yeah, all right. Well, I'll just cut right to it.
Okay.
Obviously, well, first off, he had the game-winning sack on Murray.
Uh-huh.
That was his second sack of the game. He's like, if the Seahawks can get a pass rush, I think there's too much blame on the secondary. Don't get me wrong, the secondary for the Seahawks isn't very good, but they can't rush the passer.
Bad.
They can't rush the passer at all. Like up until Dunlap got there, Jamal Adams was the best pass rusher on that team. They can't put any pressure on the quarterback. It's so obvious. And what do you expect the secondary to do? They're not very good, and they can't hold their coverage forever.
Yeah, and Jamal's not. I mean, I know he's been in and out of the lineup with injuries, but he hasn't been playing up to his.
I thought he played really well before he got hurt. Ever since he got hurt, he hasn't been great. But here's the other thing: I think that they're blitzing him so much because they just can't get any pressure. And I think if you're listen, you have this safety, you put 2 first-round picks in acquiring, and you sign him to big money. You should not be blitzing him almost every play. Like that's just a waste of his talent. I know he's really good at it, don't get me wrong, but it would be better to have him in the backfield patrolling, helping out in coverage. If Carlos Dunlap can be the guy that he looked like, and he put up 2 sacks this past week in his first game with them, that's huge. You just need a pass rusher to make things happen, just to give him a chance. I saw Jamal Adams blitz so many times. If you can keep Jamal Adams in the back, you can get more creative with him. When you blitz him, there's only so much he can do. He's just going to run and get the quarterback, and then he's useless when the ball gets out of the quarterback's hands. He's your best player on defense. You need to keep him involved up until the play's over.
Yeah, I saw apparently Jason Pierre-Paul, who plays defensive end, if the listeners don't know, has more career interceptions than Jamal Adams.
Mm,
Jamal Adams plays safety. So, but like
it's
you
fair enough.
said, he's more just a very very quick linebacker that just blitzes all the time. So
Yeah, and I think he's got more value to the team if he's not constantly blitzing. And now, and listen, that's why I gave Carlos Dunlap the first stud, because if he can be that edge disruptor,
mm,
and really give quarterbacks problems, that changes everything for Seattle. Because I still think that that's their biggest weakness
yeah,
is their just inability to rush the passer. And I know the secondary isn't that good, but I think it's a bigger issue that they can't rush the passer than the secondary. I think if they can rush the passer, the secondary will look better. Look, the first game they only gave up 21 points to the Cardinals. The
yeah,
Cardinals were scoring a lot of points. Having a little extra pressure is going to change everything for it. It makes you easier to cover, rushes the quarterbacks, make them uncomfortable, create some turnovers. And if Dunlap can do that, that's a huge win. That's a huge trade for them. And because of that, that's why he's the first stud, because I really think that's a big, big win for him. Resurrect his career, be on a team that actually compete, and the Seahawks, because I think that fills their biggest issue.
yeah. All right. I think that pretty much touches up on that. So we got our studs and duds. We did our power rankings. We talked the birds and a couple of the other games. So you ready to get into the week 12 predictions?
Week 12 positions, we can do that. I did want to say one thing. I kind of want to stick up. Oh, never mind. I was looking at something else. Didn't work out in my favor, but go ahead. Any other games that you want to
Uh,
talk about?
no,
Any
I'm not. I mean, I like we already kind of touched on. Colts had a good game against the Packers. Kind of surprised. Denver and Dallas got some big upsets. So Dallas beat the Vikings, who looked like they were on the rise after a slow start, and then Miami, who looked like they were going to be, playoff contenders, and threw a dud up to Denver.
Yeah, Tua definitely looks very much like a rookie.
Yeah. Oh, I will
Um,
say, I'm I'm starting. So we had like I think 5 or 6 teams this year get new uniforms or uniform edits, you can say.
mhm.
Um, and I think the Rams were my least favorite when everything was revealed, but they're starting to grow on me. Like if you would just get rid of that dumb patch they have on the shoulder pad, like I think it's like right above the numbers and to the I forget what side it's on, but it's just a patch that says Los Angeles. You take that patch off, and they're like the grays are clean with the numbers. But it also made me think. On Saturday, I was watching the college football, and Oregon had their Ohana jerseys. They're like special jerseys.
Mhm.
They were really nice if you got to see them.
Oregon's always got nice
Oh
uniforms.
yeah,
They always do it big. Phil Knight's always hooking them up.
they're basically the testing ground for new designs. So
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, that actually funny you mentioned that. I just read Phil Knight's book, the guy from Nike. He's all about Oregon.
well, yeah, he
So
went to Oregon.
yeah, I know, but the guy loves it. Last thing, two things I wanted to mention real fast. I thought it was funny because I think I changed my rookie of the year vote for both defensive and offensive rookie of the year. Offensive rookie of the year, man, Claypool is unstoppable. 10 touchdowns in 10 games. That's pretty incredible. I mean, having
Yeah,
four against the Eagles helps, but still.
Justin Jefferson's having a hell of a year too.
I know. I honestly think it's going to be coming
Sadly,
down to those two. I think the offensive rookie of the year. I mean, quarterbacks always get the win, but
yeah. I
two
mean,
is
I didn't
still.
think Kyler should have won last year, but he won anyway. So
I just think that Chase Claypool, like with the numbers he's putting up, like he's already at 10 touchdowns. How many touchdowns is he going to end up with during the season? Like if you're looking at a rookie wide receiver with 1,000 yards and maybe 12 touchdowns, that's hard. I think I put that over quarterback.
yeah,
And
we'll
then
see.
the other one was defensive rookie of the year, Julian Blackmon, the safety for the Colts,
Mm-hmm.
who made that fumble on what's the guy's name? The Packers wide receiver, Vantala Scanlon to win the
Yeah,
game pretty much in
yeah.
overtime. That was a huge play. He's a good player. He's played really well for them since Malik Hooker got hurt. But yeah, after watching this week, I was like, you know what, changing both votes.
Yeah, the Colts have like they're pretty sneaky good with their draft picks for defensive players. And you know what? I think we gave a lot of shit to their trade what's his name? The Niners DN
Booker.
they got.
Yeah.
But you know what? He's helping that defense and he's made an impact. It might not be huge on the stat sheet, but he's forcing them to There's a reason their corners have a lot of picks and their defense is playing
Yeah.
so well.
Listen,
So
I think they remind me of the Rams defense and where they have two studs and some younger guys around it. But I think Blackman's played really well, the rookie.
yeah,
And Rhodes has resurrected his career. But Buckner and Leonard play really nice with each other. Buckner's just that big D lineman that just eats up offensive linemen. He's so huge that like he could just reach his arms out. He's like 6'7", and no offensive lineman is getting around him. And then Leonard just gets to run around free and just make incredible plays. I think they play really well together, just like Ramsey and Donald do, and I think it just has a benefit for the whole team. So really good pickup for them. It fit into their defense really well.
Yeah, I was surprised. But that's really my final thoughts on Week 11. I don't have much more to add.
It's pretty. I mean, I hate the Eagles, but in that,
All right, well, looking at last week, that was probably one of my worst weeks for game picks. I mean, granted, there was quite a few upsets, but
love it.
Yeah, this is the first week I didn't go over 500. I finished 7-7.
Wow.
You actually beat me. You went 8-6.
I'd like to beat you by more, but sure, I'll take it.
And my buddy, my friend Alex, who was on our NBA pod episode, he picked games. He went 10-4. So
don't let him back.
Yeah, no.
I'm already in last place with you. I don't need to get further down this ranking.
Yeah. So now we're currently sitting. I have 113 wins to 49 losses. You have 98. You just have to get 2 games right, and you'll eclipse 100.
I haven't even brought the century mark yet.
No, 98-64. And then of course we have Thanksgiving coming up. So for everyone, happy Thanksgiving. We have 3 games. So we'll start off with those. So first game we have on the books, a 12:30 game on Thanksgiving, Houston at Detroit. Houston beat the Patriots. Deshaun played pretty well.
Yeah, he was in stud conversation.
Detroit did not have a good game.
They got shut out by the Panthers, who do not have a good defense. They're a bad team, man.
I feel bad. The Lions are on Thanksgiving. They're like the Cowboys. They're always on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and they just get slaughtered every Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so I'll take Houston here.
I'm taking Houston. There's no way I'm picking a team that just got shut out by the Panthers.
The next game for Thursday.
Surprisingly, because I just looked at this, does it surprise you that the Lions actually have a better record than the Texans?
No.
The Lions surprisingly somehow have 4 wins.
Lions are always like 8-8 every year. I don't know.
I don't know about 8-8. I think they were like 4-12 last year, or 3-13.
Oh yeah, you're right. Whatever.
They're not a good team. Patricia's not a good coach.
No, he's probably gonna get fired.
Yeah.
Next game, 4:30 p.m. game. Washington football team at the Dallas Cowboys
for first place in the NFC East.
Yes. What a sad thing to say. You know what? Alex Smith played fine against the Bengals. I mean, granted, they lost Burrow, so that didn't help them. But I don't know. I'm still not sold on Dallas being resurrected yet. I'm gonna take Washington in this one.
Fair enough. I'm gonna take Dallas because I think Dallas can. I think Andy Dalton, if he's playing right, which he looks pretty good, he's recovered from his concussion and everything, and COVID. I think they're more than capable to score a lot of points. Their offense is still stacked, without Dak or not. The offensive line's sketchy.
Their defense has gotten a little bit better too, but
yeah, I think that getting rid of those veterans like Dontari Poe and Everson Griffin at the trade line when they did was smart. I think you got rid of guys that probably didn't care that much. I know Jones mentioned Dontari Poe was overweight, so I think helps getting them off the team, change the dynamic. But I'm going to take the Cowboys. I think they're going to score more.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I think Dallas will win, but I'm taking Washington in kind of an upset. Okay. And then the final game on Thanksgiving, 8:20 p.m. on NBC, Baltimore at Pittsburgh. And Baltimore's been having a couple of rough weeks, but I think this is when Pittsburgh finally takes a loss on the season. So I'm going to take the Ravens. They need a rebound.
Interesting. I don't even know if the Ravens are going to be able to beat COVID, let alone the Steelers. I'm going to take the Steelers because the Ravens.
Well, as far as I know, it's really only it's Dobbins and Ingram are going to be out, right?
They just had a defensive player test positive. They had to cancel practice today. Yeah.
Jeez. Well, maybe
the NFL is going to make them play the game. They're not going to cancel this game on Thanksgiving night. They're going to have to play, and It's just a tough week for the Ravens. And you know what? If the Ravens lose, they go to 6-5.
Yeah, that's bad.
That is bad. But yeah, give me the Steelers.
All right. Let's see. Then we're gonna move into Sunday. We got a couple 1:00 games. So we got Miami at the Jets. Yeah, I just don't know when the Jets are gonna get their first win, but I don't think it's gonna be this week. So I will take the Dolphins to rebound.
Yeah, I also think the Dolphins are going to rebound. I think this is a good rebound game for Tua. He's going to play a terrible team. He should be able to score on them. And
Grant, I don't think the Jets are gonna go winless. I think they'll win at least 1 or 2 games.
I'll give you one. Let's not get to 2 yet. They got to win the first one before
I
they get to
said
2.
1 or
They
2.
they still have a lot of problems on that team.
Okay. Next game, another 1:00 game, Arizona at New England. Yeah, Patriots, they show flashes here and there, but then they just lost to Houston, and Cardinals could use another win because they got to keep pace with the Rams in Seattle. So I'll take the Cardinals here.
Yeah, I mean, Deshaun Watson had a pretty good game against the Patriots. He threw for like over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think that Kyler Murray maybe replicates something similar since he has kind of a similar style. So I'll take the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots have been brutal on defense. I mean, they're missing like a lot of starters, but
yeah, it's a throwaway year for them.
Yeah. Another 1:00. We got Carolina at Minnesota. Yeah, we had a Temple guy starting for Carolina in place of Teddy Bridgewater,
Former
PJ
XFL
Walker.
great, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Minnesota's a weird. There's a lot of teams this year that are just so inconsistent.
The Vikings are the weirdest team, I think, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll. This is tough. I mean, it sucks because there's no fans. So like, I haven't really found myself saying, well, they're at home. If this was if fans were here and it was because it's at Minnesota, I might have picked the Vikings, but I'm gonna take the Panthers.
Fair enough. I'm gonna take the Vikings.
I have a lot of different picks this week, huh?
The Vikings they are a really weird team. I actually thought the Vikings were going to go on a run. I thought they were. I thought they were going to turn their season around. Then they lost to the Cowboys, but I still think they're pretty solid. I think they can pick up a win against Panthers.
Yeah, I think it'll be a surprisingly good game.
Yeah.
Another game we got Cleveland at Jacksonville. Jacksonville's played surprisingly well. I mean, they got blown out by the Steelers at the end of last week. They were holding up in the beginning.
They were good. They fought the Packers pretty well too.
Yeah, but I'll take the Browns here. I think the Browns are going to keep rolling.
Yeah, I'm probably going to say the Browns too. I mean, I think they're just going to put the Chubb and Hunt show all game.
Another game at 1:00. Titans at the Colts. This is an important game.
Interesting.
They played already this year, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Who won that first matchup?
I believe it was the Titans.
Was it? I think the Colts had a great showing against
you know what?
Green Bay.
No, they did play. They played actually last week, and the Colts beat them.
Really? That's so it was like the Eagles and Giants did.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna take the Titans then to flip it.
You know what? I've been crapping on the Colts for a while. I'll take them this time. I think they keep the good mojo going.
Fair enough. Another 1:00 game. Giants at Cincinnati. I don't think Cincinnati is going to win another game now that Joe Burrow's out. So I'm going to take the Giants.
It's probably for the best thing for them because Burrow's going to win too many games from them, and they won't be able to draft that Sewell tackle from the Oregon. And they need to protect Burrow.
If once they get a line, they have some pieces on offense like with Mixon and Higgins and Boyd.
They need to protect Burrow. This should be
they need to fortify that line.
Yeah, they need to use this opportunity or use this energy as like a wake-up call to protect him.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to be a top 3 pick because they're not going to win anymore. And I think Sewell will fall into the laps. And I'm going to take the Giants. And that means the Eagles will be, at worst, 3rd place after the Sunday.
And so the collapse begins.
Yep, there you go.
All right. Another one. We have 2 more 1:00 games. My good. Chargers, which is odd because, well, I guess because they're playing in Buffalo. They usually play 4:00 games, but Chargers at Bills.
Yeah, cross country.
Yeah,
Bills
I'm
coming
taking
off
the
a bye.
Bills.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bills.
All right. Next game is the Raiders at the Falcons. I really like the Raiders. They lost a close game against the Chiefs because they decided not to play defense on the last play. So I will take the Raiders to come back.
Yeah, the Falcons, I think, have mailed in the season. I don't think there's going to be much winning happening from them anymore. I'll take the Raiders.
Next game we have finally a 4:00 game. Only have 3 of them this week. Niners at the Rams. The Niners are still beat up, and Rams had a good game against the Bucks, so I will take the Rams.
Yeah, I'm taking the Rams too. I think the Rams have hit their stride. They look like a very good team. They look scary. They look like a team that could be something to play with in the NFC.
All righty. Next game is Saints at Denver. I think Denver had a surprise game against the Dolphins, but I don't think they're going to surprise the Saints. Saints keep rolling. They're going to get another win.
Yeah, Denver's not a very good team. They had a surprise win this week, but they're not very good. So I'll take the Saints.
All right. Next game, Chiefs at the Bucks. This will be so. I think when we did our beginning of the year predictions before the season started, I said the Chiefs would be 11-0 or 10-0, and their first loss would come to Tom Brady and the Bucks.
Okay,
But
you got to stick with it now.
I don't know. I don't know.
I think you should stick with it since it's your preseason pick, and I'm taking the Chiefs.
No, I'm taking the Chiefs. I don't like Tampa right
you're
now.
the worst. Come on, stick to your original thoughts.
I've already taken too many up in the air games this week. I don't want to give you. I don't want to give you too much of a cushion to come back. I got to keep my 15 game lead.
We're creeping up, but yeah, give me the Chiefs. They are the best team in the NFL, and like I've been saying since the preseason, the Arians and Brady mix is not working.
Well, yeah, time will tell if they ever recover. Chicago at Green Bay. So wait, what happened with Nick Foles? He actually is fine now, even though he was carted off. Is that what I'm hearing? It was just a bruise.
Is he supposed to start?
I don't know, but apparently it wasn't a significant injury.
I mean,
well, regardless, I was going to take the Packers whether Foles.
I don't
think
that. Yeah. Foles, Trubisky, Rex Grossman, Jackie Man, whoever you got. Yeah,
Rex Grossman.
Yeah.
Jeez, Jay Cutler.
Good.
And then the lovely Monday Night Football game on the last day of November.
I can't believe we're on national TV.
Wait, last day of November is next Monday. That is disgusting. We just started November.
Yeah,
anyways,
goes like that.
Seattle at Philly. Do we even need to give picks for this?
Listen, I'll tell you right now, this will cover my picks for the next 5 weeks. Until the Eagles win a game, I'm not picking them to win.
I was talking to somebody earlier, and I said that there's going to be two extremes happen in this game. Seattle's going to pummel us like they usually do.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the last time the Eagles beat Seattle. It's been quite a few years.
It's true.
So I think Seattle's going to win by like 3 touchdowns, or the Eagles somehow win in a close game. I think it's going to be one of those two extremes.
Well, I definitely don't see the Eagles winning in a close game.
Well, yeah, I think the first option is going to happen. Seattle's going to blow out the Eagles, but I think if it ends up being a one-score game in the fourth quarter, I think some ridiculous thing's going to happen. The Eagles are going to win the game. So,
I see the Seahawks are a team they're the team that wins in ridiculous fashions late.
I know that's why it's exciting for me to say that, because it's very unlikely, but it's a gut feeling. What can I say?
Well, use your gut feeling and go with the Eagles. So
I'm taking Seattle.
Okay, yeah. That gut feeling must not be very strong then.
I mean, the gut's not always smart. So.
Yeah.
All right, well, that wraps up the picks. Any last thoughts? Should be some decent games this week. So always look forward to Thanksgiving games, even though they're not the best. So Pittsburgh and Baltimore will be interested to see how many players play for the Ravens.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, it's tough for the Ravens. I think they're in a tough spot because they got to play a short week. They had to cancel practice. They have players that aren't going to play, and you're going against.
Yeah, well, I mean, Harbaugh will get them ready. He's a good coach. So
yeah, it is what it is. All right, I'll talk to you.
All right.
We got 3 games on Thursday, so I'll hit you up by noon.
Yeah, it'll be fun day. Eat your turkey, people. Mashed potatoes, gravy. Well, hold on. What's your favorite dish on Thanksgiving?
See, it's either the mashed potatoes, the classic, or you know what I like a lot? I like sweet potato, like mashed sweet potato or sweet potato
Okay.
casserole. That's my like. That's
I'm
good.
a big stuffing. I think stuffing's my favorite. But you know what? I saw a thing, and apparently Ohio, their favorite dish is Jello.
Jello.
Yeah, we don't even serve Jello on Thanksgiving
I don't think
in my
anyone
family.
does besides like who did they survey in Ohio? People in
No, but it
prison?
was Ohio and Michigan both said Jello was their favorite side dishes. So I
They
was
must have just talked to incarcerated people who just get Jello. They don't get a turkey, they just get Jello. So no wonder it's their favorite.
It's turkey, but in the shape of Jello. It's Jello, but in the shape of turkey.
Yeah, interesting.
Yikes.
I don't like Jello in general. Don't put
Well,
it on
now I'm
my
hungry though. All
Yeah.
right, let's cut
All
it
right.
there.
Pleasure as always.
Yep.
I'll
Talk to you.
See ya.
Peace out.